Today I'm chatting with Dan, the guitar player from the Amity Affliction, about their 9th album, House of Cards, and their upcoming USA tour in April and May 2026, and their UK and EU dates in September and October. Here's the full interview, and let me know what you think to it in the comments below. What time is it over there, and where do we find you?
It's just gone 9 p.m. and I'm at home. I just got home from tour, not yesterday, but the day before. And now I'm packing my house up, getting ready to move. So it's crazy.
Well, thank you for chatting with me. Tell me about the tour you've just been on, and I presume that's local to you. So what does that look like?
Yeah, it was good. We were actually had a different tour planned. We are going to be doing the country, doing capital cities with Parkway Drive, and a few things came up, and that tour didn't get to happen. So we were kind of at the last minute. We had to somewhat scramble and put together a tour of our own. So instead, it's just not enough time to do a capital city run. There's too many things to organise. So
Sure.
instead, we opted for the regional run, which is going to like the smaller cities through Australia, and it was really cool. The only difference is you can only really play weekends because no one's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is a bit hard. So people go to work the next day, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday tend to be show days. So we were all going all over the country, but we were busy for half of the week. But it was really good. We got In Heart's Wake on board and some other local Australian bands, Red Hook, and yeah, everyone did really well. And we had two openers for the tour, and they kind of swapped where they could make up the shows, and they were both really stoked to be there, and we were stoked to have them. So by the end of the tour, it was like quite successful. So we were stoked, especially planning something on a last minute sort of scramble. But it was great. Yeah, played a few new songs, which is fun.
Good to hear, man. We're going to dig into it properly. But this seems like it's a good time in the camp for you. Obviously, a bit of a rebirth with the lineup changes, but it feels like these new songs are hitting. We've had House of Cards released already and Bleed. And, initial reactions have been positive. How's the feeling in the camp?
Well, it's very positive, and I guess that's becoming infectious. Like, we're in a new place that, like, obviously we went through some drama with some ex-members, and it's all popped out the other end, and we all have a clear common goal now, and that's everyone trying to achieve the same thing really does help. It sounds simple, but it's not simple in a group often. So yeah, we're stoked. People are liking the new song. There's always like that little bit of kickback, I guess, with a member change. But even if we didn't change members, you put a new song out and people go, "This sucks," or like this rules, or this sounds the same, or this isn't different enough. And so it's just I enjoy reading people's reactions on the internet, but I try not to use all my time doing that.
Of course.
But yeah, we're stoked. We're in a very good place.
So what was a favourite song of the set you've just been playing then?
Oh, we played some old ones, actually, some really old ones. Fun to play the new ones, but
Sure.
that's a bit tricky. I guess Bleed was not out at the start of the tour, so we were playing that just to people who had never heard it before. And then it came out a few days into the tour, and then you sort of see people each night going, "Oh yeah, I kind of know this." But that's a challenge in itself. But playing super old songs, like we played Youngbloods off like an album from, I want to say like 14 to 16 years ago, something like that. It's an old song, and see people in the crowd still sing along to that thing, and it's kind of it's a fun song to play, but it's definitely a little dated, but it doesn't matter because the fans are enjoying it, so it's a good time.
That's fantastic to hear. So let's we have the opportunity to geek out on guitars a little bit more than you might on other shows or other YouTube channels. So by my reckoning, the two off the new album that have been released already, House of Cards and Bleed, are in drop F tuning. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
And how much of the rest of the album is in that tuning, or are you swapping and changing?
Some of it, so I have two live guitars. One stands in drop A sharp and the other one's in drop F sharp. And then you get a bit of wiggle room with the Kemper that we use. So
of course, I've heard about this.
Yeah, the F sharp guitar will do F and E, and the A sharp will do anything, A to A sharp to anything higher that we have. But as the band goes on, we just have more and more lower songs.
Yeah, of course.
Someone said to me a long time ago, you go older and slower and older or something. There's like this old saying, like you just play slower and you just keep tuning it down. But Yeah, it's good. I don't have to have like 5 guitars for all these different tunings. I just got to have some in the space of that tuning, and you can go up or down a semitone. But
Yeah,
I think any further than that, I start to hear like a warble.
yeah.
People say you don't, but I just feel like I do because I'm old school.
I never get to try it really because I'm always playing at low volume, so you can always hear the strings. It never quite works in a
Oh yeah,
studio
that's another
setting.
thing. I've got my in-ears in, and I'll be playing along, and then if one of them comes out, and I can sort of feel that string vibration and sort of hear it, you can hear the dissonance in the like because I'm shifting by a semitone, so everything's just insane sounding. But
It's
yeah,
jarring, isn't
yeah,
it? But
keep the
yeah,
in-ears in,
live,
and
live at gig volume. To talk us through your
yeah,
your go-to rig for a live setup for Amity Affliction. What you're using?
my Kemper profile is, I think it's just like the standard, like it's so old and I've had it for so long, but Kemper came out and they had like a 5150. I was like a PV high gain or whatever they called it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just put, it was very close to the settings I've recorded albums and everything with. So I was like, well, that's good for me. And then I made little changes to make it exactly the settings I'd always used with an actual head, and went from there. And then the clean channel that I use is like an AC30 mimic sort
Nice.
of thing. So yeah, it does the work. And then the guitar is, it's a Fender Stratocaster, and I've got 2 Fishman humbuckers in it and an Evertune bridge. So everything stays nicely in tune.
Oh, absolutely, especially for the
Yeah,
lower
I keep it
stuff.
pretty basic because we do have in our songs we have so many like there's keys, there's strings, there's pianos, and it's all that. And I think if I was to go too wild with a tone, it's just gonna cause all these other problems with all the other frequencies. So I keep it pretty straight up the middle, just a mosh tone basically.
It sounds good to me, and I've not caught you guys live yet, but you do seem to. You have a heavy sound that still is really. It still cuts through the mix. It sits in a mix really well. Is
Yeah,
there
it just
anything?
stays
Is the PV
melodic.
particularly good at that? I mean, drop F's pretty much bass, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think the Evertune's got a lot to do with it.
Right?
And all our songs, like, I play a lot of stuff just on one string
Yeah.
because, like, again, if I add that fifth over the top, like if I'm doing power chords or even sort of minor stuff, it's just another note that's probably going to rub with something else in all those other sounds.
A lot
So
of
most of
House
my
of
stuff I'm
Cards in
playing,
particular is kind of one string
yeah,
staying on and then
yeah,
moving.
one
Yeah.
string. And I think that happened years and years ago. There's a band called Bury Your Dead, and they had riffs that were all on one string, and I was like, oh, that rules. And then
Yeah.
I think Slim from Bury Dead ended up playing with Bring Me for a little while. And then all of a sudden, Bring Me had one string riffs. I was like, ooh, it's happening. Now I get to do one string riff. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, it rubs with less frequencies. If I start adding these big chords in, it's just too much sound, I think. So, I want to keep that melody very simple, and I just hit one string. And then I do a riff every now and then, but they're all on one string as well.
Of course, and it can dilute it. More notes just dilutes it. It doesn't cut through
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah, and like a riff that you play on one string, if you just add that like fifth over the top of it and give it that power chord sound, all of a sudden it can almost change genres.
Yeah.
Like if you've got this cool kind of like rock riff and then you play it as power chords, it turns into like radio rock, like American kind of sound, and that can be good if that's what you're after. But if it's not, you're like, oh, how do I get around this? And another thing, I'll be like, well, if that doesn't work, I'll just do an octave because then I know
Yeah.
I'm going to be, it's two of the same note, but there's not going to be any rubbing with anything else.
I've heard an American band called that. They play too many power chords. It goes too much hockey game rock, kind of
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. It's cool to like know that sound does that and kind of save it for a moment when you want that sound. But it just doesn't. Our older stuff, we had like kind of like minor extensions and stuff like that that would like thirds would go over the fifth, and we'd have these big sort of bar chord things, and that would work. But there was less other things going on. So the more modern we get with like having the orchestral stuff, there's just less room.
Of course. But in some ways, that can make it easier to play. And we do have a lot of learner guitar players watching this video that
Yeah.
I
Oh, it's
know would
way easier. I
love
love it.
to. Oh, thank you. Oh, great. But a lot of those guys think that tuning down or playing any heavier styles of music is harder. It's too daunting. There's too much to learn. Even electric guitar for some people, they stick on acoustic, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a lot of this can be physical. A lot of the tricks like down tuning and stuff can make it physically easier to play. So can you take me back to
Yeah.
first learning guitar and maybe first learning the heavier genres? What were the gateway
Of
drugs for you?
down tune stuff. So I came from a punk rock angle, like most people when I was younger. There wasn't really many heavy bands that you had to be pretty far outside to even know about heavy music. And then I guess, well, let me think back. Somebody gave me new metal was around.
For
That
sure.
was kind of pretty mainstream, but as
Are we
outside
talking
of
around
that,
the
it would have
2000s then?
yeah, yeah, and but then like my friend's big brother handed me like I had a Discman at the time, and it had the whole headphones that joined in and all that, and they gave me a Poison the Well album, and that was my first like oh what's like it's just screaming pretty much the whole time, whereas
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Limp Bizkit would get to the middle eight and that would be the heavy bit, and then this other stuff was just oh I guess Slipknot was around that was kind of but that was like a mainstream version of it at the time because new metal was huge. But into that screamo and metalcore and all that, the Poison in the World was the first band I heard, and that I didn't even know how to play what they were playing because they were very kind of we used to call it like because we didn't know the chords, very like jazz sort of chords, but like heavy. So it was a very hard entrance. I was like, I love that sound, but I like it's not a power chord, and that's basically all I knew at the time. Like just play power chords really fast. So I'd play the power chord version of their songs, and you're like, oh, like I'm 12 or 13 or 13 or 14 something at the time, and your ear is not trained yet. So
Sure.
you're thinking, yeah, I'm playing this. And then later you go, no, I was not playing that at all. But since I have gone back and gone, what were they playing? And really tried to figure out like all those really quite advanced chords and progressions and stuff. I wish I came in on like well, then there was hardcore music too. And that suited the power chords that I did know. So I kind of got a super hard entrance, but then also had the fun power chord part of it too. And I guess it shapes you in a way. In the end, you go, okay, well, I can sort of put that together, and maybe that's what happened.
Oh, it does. Everyone tries, the harder
Yeah,
AC/DC songs or Metallica songs when they're like first beginning. I mean, it's crazy.
yeah, you're like, so I wonder if I can do that solo, and you've
Yeah.
been playing for like 8 weeks, and you're like, no, absolutely not. And you could do maybe three of the first notes, and you're like, yeah, and it gives you that little, you get the itch, like, oh, I have to learn the rest now. So yeah,
That's a powerful gateway drug though. I mean, do you remember what
it
your
is.
first riff was that you ever learnt on guitar?
I think mine was Smoke on the Water. My dad taught me how to play Smoke on the Water, but he taught me completely wrong because he didn't play guitar either. He had the right, like, it was going up in notes, but the frets were completely wrong. I had the rhythm down, but yeah, I just played it his way and I was like, cool, that's my first song.
Hey
Everyone
man,
knows
I
that riff.
interviewed Zach Wild a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago now. We released the video a
Yeah,
couple of weeks ago. And even he played Smoke on the Water when he was saying off for beginners, zero
yeah,
three five zero three six.
yeah,
I'm like, even he plays
yeah,
it, like, because it's a
yeah.
beginner thing, right?
But then hearing it back, that's not power chords either, and I'm sure he played it the right way. It's got those fourths in it.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, damn it, I had it wrong. My dad had it wrong, and then I thought I got it right, but years later I was like, not even, I didn't even have it right.
Hey
I
man,
got it right now.
every riff I learnt in the 90s and 2000s without being able to check anything and learning stuff by ear. I learned it all.
Yeah,
I have to relearn everything when I'm teaching the harder stuff these days. Like
for
wrong
sure.
position,
Yeah,
all
and
this kind of
it's
thing.
great to learn by ear because it's a skill you need. Because then when you reverse engineer it, it's like you can hear a riff and then play it. Like instead of, you dream up your own riffs in your head and you're like, okay, that's the eighth fret or whatever. Like you just know how to do it because you've gone the other way so long ago. So
Well, I have a
it's
theory
a,
that that's the step that people who, if people aren't used to coming up with their own riffs or songs, working songs
mm,
out by ear is normally the step that's missing because that's what
yeah.
trains you to be able to imagine music, basically.
Yeah, yeah, you imagine it and you like know where your hands are going to go before you even pick up the guitar. Yeah,
Exactly, and it's
you're
that
right.
being able to hear intervals in your mind and then being able to figure it out on the guitar. I mean, where did
Yeah.
that journey of writing heavier music start for you? When did you
Oh,
start creating?
it wasn't too much longer after hearing Poison the Well. We were just like, let's do this. Like, got a bunch of friends who were like, let's just make some noise in a basement somewhere.
Just start.
And yeah, just start. Well, I was in like a little punk rock band before that with like a friend and his brother, but that was very like we would just cover other punk like Fat Records bands and stuff like that. But to write our first music, I don't think we ever wrote any of our own punk songs. But once I got into that like very early screamo thing, I was like, all right, let's try and make a breakdown or something like that. I'm like, what do they do? You just go jun jun jun, like, so it would have been all very early days of skill, and it probably sounded horrible, but you got to start somewhere.
You
I
do
was
have to
reckon I would have
start
been,
somewhere.
I
And
reckon I would have been about 13, just in my first band, just making noise in a garage, basically, or a basement.
did recording become a part of your journey very early on then?
It did, only because I grew up in Byron Bay, which is like a very small coastal town here, and Parkway Driver from there. So there were my friends' big brothers and everything, but it was so tight the scene. So we're all in the same basement, and there was like 12 dudes in about five bands, like, and we'd have these little shows, and we'd just rotate. Like the bass player would then drum, and then that's a new band, and then there's the guitarist would swap to bass, and that's another new band. So we would do that, and eventually we're like trying to build a scene like out of nothing, and we're like, well, we should get like a little what was it called? A
Like
four
a four
track.
track, yeah. Like the
Yeah, and we
Tascam
just put
digital ones were new at the time,
yeah,
weren't
something
they?
like that. And we just put it somewhere in the room and like just waited till it sound. No one knew anything about putting even a microphone on a snare. We were just like, well, it's got to be in this room somewhere. So we do that, and eventually, as soon as we got it sounding good, we're like, okay, you guys record one of your songs, and then we'll swap, and we'll make the next band, and then we'll record one of our songs. And we made like little compilations of like the Byron Bay hardcore thing. So that was our. Then we'd like give it to friends at school, and then we could burn a CD after a while. Somehow, someone figured out how to do that, and then we could put it on in our car, and we're like, yeah, we're like on a CD. So that was the very start, and I liked that, but instantly I was like, how do you make it sound better though? Because
Yeah.
that doesn't sound right. It just sounds fun.
Again, it's the
So
same ear training thing, but you're putting that on frequencies
yeah,
and recording
yeah,
techniques.
like you hear a breakdown in a real band who recorded properly. You go, well, I can hear kick drum. That's pretty loud in a breakdown. But on our shitty four track, I can't. I can just hear a big distorted bass guitar or something. You're like, okay, how do I change that? And then you move the microphone a bit closer. We didn't even know about putting it near the beater. We're just like, put it closer to it, and then you record again. You're like, hey, that's a bit closer, and yeah, it just started the journey. And then I guess you just dive in. Same with your playing. You just dive in and just keep trying to move things and change things till it sounds the way you want it to sound.
So I mean that's something that I wish I could convey more to people. There's a lot of people, I think more people that are learning guitar and sound and music a little later in life, maybe they're 40, 50. They come to
Yeah.
this and they're constantly stopping themselves because they feel like they need to know everything before they start.
Yeah, and back then there was no way to even know anything, so
Yeah,
you just had to try things. But
yeah.
now it's like if you want to know something, go, okay, internet, how do I make a kick drum sound good? And you just get all this info, and you're like, that's too much info, too scary, don't want to do it anymore. So not knowing anything kind of helped, and like being able to make mistakes because no one else knew anything. And now it's like if you don't sound good, that everyone's like, why? Because everyone knows how to do it now. So it's a different the learning curve has steepened for sure.
It does, but I do think you guys still have a lot of that, a little bit. I mean, one of the songs is called Bleed, but you do leave a little bit, you leave the bleed in there as well as,
Yeah,
and still keeping the hit. And that's hard to
yeah,
get. Usually bands go more, too much, everything sounds electronic, all the
yeah.
production wise, or it's too much bleed and it's muffy, right?
Yeah, because now we're in a stage where you could make everything perfect if you wanted to,
Auto
but
tune
don't.
everything and kill it,
Yeah,
right?
you could make it like totally insane drums, and you like it's all available to you to basically create whatever's in your brain, but it's not right. There's something about you can't have everything perfect, and it's got to be something moving around that's still back from those days when everything was raw and we were all just guessing. Because it's like it's the live and the human element, I guess. If you don't have that, it's what's the point? It's AI basically.
Totally agreeing. That's how we combat AI, by keeping that human element, frankly, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
speaking of which, what made you guys? I loved seeing the recording vlog, by the way, or part one of it.
Yeah, we've got another part coming out soon of that, so
Excellent
be
stuff. We'll
interesting.
certainly link to it in the description and for everyone
Yeah,
watching.
yeah,
But
cool.
what made you recording a house? Why not go to a fancy studio
So,
and lush it up?
well, over the years, like I said, I got that bug for recording. I just kept doing it, so I kind of know how to do that now. I went and studied and did audio engineering, and I know my way around a studio enough to get things sounding the way I want to. I'm sure, there's always more things to learn, but I
Of
feel like,
course.
okay, in my genre, what I want to achieve, I can do on my own. But so the different, well, instantly I say to Joel, the other Australian in the band, I'm like, well, just come to my house and do it. And he's like, maybe you come to my house. And then we're like, okay, we both need to leave our houses, otherwise
Yeah.
it's not fair. Because he's got a family, I've got a family, kids and wives, and so it has to both be unfair. So we had to pick somewhere in the middle, and we just get a house. And so he's in Queensland and I'm in Victoria, so we meet in Sydney. That's in the middle. And this time Johnny was there too. So he's from California, so he was in a totally different world, but he'd never done the whole thing before. About he's been in other bands. He's like, oh, I've always wanted to do that. How you just like get a house and do it yourself and do that. But we've been doing that a while now, so it works for us. And if it ain't broke, we just keep doing that.
Absolutely. It reminded me of walking around my house when I first moved in this place and clapping and putting
Yeah,
mattresses
yeah.
on the
It's funny.
wall, or like me with curtains, just anything to deaden the sound, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was. You kind of want the worst room, and you work from there. I think.
Yeah,
Like
I
you
know what
don't
you
want
mean.
the big open dining room. You're like, there's too many variables in here. So we ended up in this. It was quite a nice house, but you could tell one of the bedrooms used to be the garage, and they sort of like filled it
Converted.
out, and so it had the big thick walls because Joel's loud when he's screaming, and there was neighbors on either side, and they don't want to hear it. So yeah, we got these big thick walls, and yeah, put the mattresses up and did all that, and it looks funny, but then you hear it and you're like, well, it sounds fine. So yeah,
That's
whatever
outstanding.
worked.
And one of my favorite bits was one of my favorite bits from that doc where I was like, "Oh, you get it," was you were talking about BPMs and like what can the audience wave their hands to and bounce to.
Yeah,
And
and
I
I
think
think Johnny
that's a
was
fact.
jumping
When
around.
now this, I mean, these all these heavier genres have never been more popular in many ways. I mean, crikey,
Yeah,
bands like Deftones and so many bands, they're now arena bands. They're not playing O2
yeah,
academies that we have here.
yeah. It's
Probably since
crazy.
the pandemic, it seems like TikTok has made all this music available. There
Yeah,
have been positives of it for this genre for sure.
yeah. I think I've noticed over the years that the worse the world is, the better heavy music is. Like
Yeah,
every time there's all these disasters and all the horrible things happening, all of a sudden you've got all these great bands, and it's almost I think it's got to be an outlet. Like people are
it's important.
angry and it's all got that, and then you're like, well, here's the soundtrack to that, and so it kind of goes at the time. And once everything's when we're in peace times, you're like, oh, down we go. We'll be back in a couple of years. But yeah, definitely since COVID, I think people just want to get out and go to stuff. So yeah, we're
100%. But
good
I
place
think
to
when
be
you
in.
play bigger rooms, there is something about the slower BPMs that make it hit the
Yeah,
back of the room. I think about bands
yeah,
like Rage Against the Machine, where the riffs are actually
bounce, bounce,
quite
bounce.
slow
Yeah,
to get people bouncing.
yeah. Well, we were on the it was a Summer of Loud tour. It was called. We're in the States, and it was like Parkway Drive, Beartooth, I Prevail, Killswitch Engage, like all these massive bands. And I was stoked to be there, but I just kind of watch them each day. And these are bands who are used to playing to these, we played a big crowds here in Australia, but we're still trying to get that in other places. And just watching how they work a crowd and the tempo of the song, I was like, oh, there's a link here. It's like the bigger the show, it's got to be a bigger, slower sound almost, because like it does, like you said, it starts to bounce off the back wall. If you're going too fast, it's just like it turns into mud in the air. So I think, yeah, we said before, lower and slower and older and slower. Well, I can't remember the saying, but it's like, yeah. But it's very hard because you can't really be a new band and go, we're going for that big sound.
You can't
Because then
start
you go,
with that. I think that's a mistake a
yeah,
lot of
so
heavier
it's
bands
tricky.
make as well. When you're playing the smaller
Yeah.
room, you need the faster music to get
Go, go,
people,
go, go.
get the
Energy.
mosh
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. Yeah. You might be like, one of five on the bill, and you're trying to just like, okay, we're the first band of the night. And now you're gonna listen to 5 hours after, so we've got to get your attention somehow. So
Yeah,
like high energy.
yeah.
But the big stuff, it's still got a high energy, but it's just kind of a little more thought out, a little more, it's kind of it goes you got to start thinking about that, I think. So
You need the
we're at that.
mix. And it's also like, what's going to get in this set for the next, hopefully
Yeah.
10 years, right? What's going to still be in this
Yeah.
set?
Yeah, you don't want to make a song that you go, oh, we played it on that tour and then we never played it again. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think we did on this last album, that was like the goal. I wrote the whole album on that Summer of Loud tour. It was like done like so quick, which isn't. We'd usually do it pretty quick, but that was like go time. We had a time crunch to actually be inside. And I think just watching those other bands really did help. Like, I'm not stealing parts, but I'm just catching vibe and tempo and key. And I'm like, okay, I can see what works and what's not working. And it was great.
That's
Couldn't
so
have asked for a better
that's just
setting.
sensible. Like get the research out. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
time you don't get to see enough other bands as well when you're
Yeah.
doing
Well,
it.
yeah. So often, like, we've headlined for a long time, and that's cool too. But when you're headlining, you're just playing your own songs to the people who are there to see you. And
Yeah.
we were back on that bill, and we were like, I think that was like 8 bands, and there's two halves. So there's like the smaller four and the bigger four, and both would rotate. So some days we'd be one of 8, other days we'd be like 4 of 8, and just that was a good experience too, because you're playing to all these people that don't know your band, and then you're back in that mindset of like, we've got to get their attention and energy somehow, but also we're in this big setting. Like, there still is a lot of people, so you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to put in the set list, but yeah, we did what we did, and I think the new stuff is written for hopefully bigger crowds, and hopefully it works.
Oh, I think so. As I say, the heavier music's been it's more popular now than ever, and I think it is. It's satisfying the crowds because it's just more. There's the theatricalness of it. You know, it is an epic
Yeah,
sound. It belongs in a big room.
it does, which is very cool because you can. There's new opportunities for like all these bigger bands. Like, they've kind of paved the way, but they're still breaking ground because
Yeah,
they can do like, oh, like, let's use a helicopter in the show or something. You're like, oh my god, no one's ever even done that. Like, that's like going back like the Ramstein kind of stuff. Like, but now, I mean, they're a heavy band, but different heavy. Now I'm talking
of
about like that
course.
emo heavy sort of stuff. Now that's kind of on the radar for some of these bands, and we're under them, looking up at them. We're like, oh, well, they did that. That was pretty cool. Maybe we can think of something different, and it just expands the genre. I think it's really good.
Well, even just the way that a band like you guys can use screens and the better PA system, just translating. You have things that will translate to a big screen, big loud sound, big audience, and make the most of
Yeah, for
those.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
The
Right.
one thing I didn't get to ask about the recording part, you literally, from the looks of it, you had your laptop, and then
Yep.
what outboard gear did you have, just to show how accessible this stuff,
I
can
just
be? What were
had
you using?
I'm blanking on the name, the Apollo. What's that?
Is that the
What's that?
Universal Audio one?
Universal Audio. Yeah. So I just had one of those and the X4 or whatever it's called. I can't remember.
Yeah,
And then we had a Neumann microphone for Johnny and an SM7B for Joel. And that's
done.
tried and tested. That's the Screamer's microphone. We've never
Yeah,
used anything else.
it's a
So, but the
great
Neumann's
mic.
nice because it's very like sensitive and like a little ribbon thing for Johnny. So it picks up all those little inflections and all that. Where Joel, it's just like, just yell into it as loud as you can and it's going to sound good.
Ah,
So yeah, super simple. I did all the guitars DI and I use like plugins for the amps. We've done albums before where I get a tone. I'm like, I like this tone. Can we reamp that through actual amps, mic it up, and try and achieve the same tone or better? And sometimes it wins, sometimes it doesn't. And we have no preference. If the plugin sounds good, like plugins are insane now. So,
yeah.
and I'm using a Kemper Live, so I'm not in against any digital stuff. I think one day I'd like to do a tour again where we have all these cabs and they're all on and it's super loud. Like, that'd be cool. But it's the cost of touring too. Like, if you don't have to take all the cabs and everything, you might, save a little bit of money and get the same tone. But yeah, with the album, we just go for whatever sounds good. And often we'll send it out to a mixer and they'll go, oh, can you give me the DI? And I'm like, yeah, it's already in there. So it's
Yeah.
just apply whatever sound you want to it. And that's cool for me because I can write and play guitar on the tour bus. And then if I've demoed it in, it's it. Like,
Yeah.
because I just take the effect off. I'm like, well, if it's tight enough, that makes the album. Like, I'm not committed to any tone if we're just going to reamp the DI.
100%. And what would
Yeah.
you say are some of your favorite guitar moments on the new album, House of Cards?
There's some cool bends on this one. We haven't done like that dirty bend for like since I've been in the band. So that
Wow.
all that kind of stuff. And it was just like, why aren't we doing that? Because I've been in other bands where that was kind of the move. Like you're doing it's still like the way down into the breakdown. Like, so some cool bends, and I guess there's a lot of fast chugging, faster than I've had to do before. That was just kind of brushed back up on that skill of like, oh, you gotta have that light hand that doesn't move too much and a hard pick. So
For sure.
yeah, the fast stuff and like the dirty bends, that was my favorite stuff. I think on the next one we'll do some more solos because we did some solos a few albums ago, and it was on a softer album. But if a lot of people were like, those solos are cool, but the album was just, it was a softer album. So I was like, maybe if we do some heavy solos, that would be more please a bit more people rather than the soft stuff.
Well, just variety as well. But when you got something
Yeah,
heavy to play over, it's always about the riffs, isn't it?
yeah. And I like doing obviously a pinch harmonic every now and then, but I sort of have left them out for a while now because I'm on the Evertune Live.
Yeah.
And like you can set it in that zone where you can bend out of the zone, the safe zone. But if I'm using Evertune, I want it to be right in the middle of the safe zone so it's perfectly in tune. So I'm not going to be able to get that like wobble in the pinch harmonic. So they haven't been in there a while. I think there's one on the album, and I'm like, oh, how do I do that live? I'll just have to do something else.
And if there was one riff or one song that you think everyone watching this video should learn of yours on the new album, which one should they learn?
Yeah. There's a cool lead riff that's kind of washes out in the mix, but there's a cool lead riff in Eternal War. That's the last song on the album, at the very first riff, and it's dissonant but melodic, and it kind of does. It's one of the I call like a round robin riff. It sort of gets to the end, and it has it's gonna start again. Like some riffs go no 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 all the way down, and it's gonna go again. But this one kind of goes all the way down and works its way back up and starts again. So
Nice.
it ends up in this kind of natural round robin type of thing. But outside that, the riff I like the most is probably in House of Cards, the single we put out. It's like the middle eight section. It's like just an old rocker riff, so that's fun. One string, of course.
It's a good one, man. It's a good one. Well, thank you so much for talking with me. Amity Affliction, you guys are on tour in the UK in October, coming to Manchester, London, Nottingham and Bristol. So it'll probably be London that I'll see you guys at.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're with Varials and Silent Planet, so that's going to be cool.
Outstanding. But
And
you guys are heading to
Orthodox
the
is the other band, I
USA
think.
very soon, right?
Yeah, in about 10 days. So I've been home for 2 days so far, and about 10 days later, I go to America and we do a tour there, which is going to be awesome. And then we go straight from there to South America. So in about 10 days, I leave and I don't get home till June. So then I have 3 months off with the family.
Oh, that's outstanding. Now, that's the life, isn't it? That's the life of a rock and roll band these days.
Yeah, you want to be busy. You don't want to have no shows.
Exactly.
That's the flip side.
Outstanding, man. Well, have the best time, and I look forward to everyone checking out the rest of the album when it's out, 24th of April over here.
That's it. Yeah, 24th. I bet we've been doing some meet and greets, and we did like a listening party for the unreleased album. And everyone's like, "Oh, that album's so good." I'm like, "Oh, thanks a lot, but you're just gonna have to remember it for a while because there's no way you hear it one album once and you're like, oh, that was cool. I can't remember any of it." So I'm looking forward to it coming out because then people will be more. It becomes more part of the Amity fan base when they can actually like go back and hear songs. So
The repeated listening makes it ingrained in you, right? You want to.
yeah, it's very hard to attach onto a one-time listen. So yeah, all good things. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, Dan, it's been great to chat with you. All the best with the tour and the new album, and I look forward to seeing you guys in London.
Thanks, mate. Good to talk to you too. See ya.